see here is the title, 9 Reasons Why Medical Billing is the Perfect Business to Start in Today's Economy. We've got a lot of things to cover today. Patrick's got a ton of information to kind of go through. But more importantly, like we've said in the past, we want you to participate in asking your questions. So I want to direct your attention to your GoToWebinar control panel. There's a couple of things there that we want to bring to your attention. Number one is that little hand. And if you can hear my voice okay, for some of you first-timers, we want you to click on that hand. That will give us the indication that my voice is coming through loud and clear. So I see some hands going up already. So we've got Marcia on the call. Raymond, good to have you. Terrence, Kevin, looks like we have Gwen and Jerry. Let's see, who just popped in? Margot, good to have you here this afternoon. Suzanne, good to have you. And we've got some more people just showing up. So we've got a great crowd showing up as we're getting this thing kicked off already. But also, you'll see over in that control panel an area for you to type in some questions. So if you'll see there's a little question mark icon, and that should give you the opportunity to type in your questions. So when we go out throughout the presentation today, anytime that you want to ask Patrick or myself a question, feel free to type in your question there, because again, this is for you. This is for you to learn about the medical billing business. Again, let me throw up my my picture up here. It is my name is Eric Auger. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems, and again, certainly want to welcome you here today. Before we get started into those 9 reasons, I want to talk about who we are. Who is American Business Systems? Well, we're a group of people here at the home office that have helped people just like yourself work from home and build a very successful business. And as we titled this, why is this a perfect business to get started in? Well, one of the reasons is that you can literally work from home if you want to. So certainly we've helped people from all walks of life, people from the professional world and from construction businesses to housewives and to just any type of businesses you can imagine. We've helped people to get started in this business of medical billing. And how have we been successful in doing that? Is by using a very solid medical billing platform, as you can see here, of iClaim. And it can be viewed on all these different devices, whether it's some of the larger iPad tablets or even, as you can see here, as the iPhones. And we'll talk a lot more about the platform as we go through today. If you're a first-timer and you haven't gone through our website as of yet, our website is absystems.com. Through there, you can find out more about us, as you can see right over here where it says about us. And if you want to get deeper into the business package, you can learn about that right there. If you want to learn more about the business package, Patrick and I did a webinar last week very specifically on this area here. So there's a lot of information that you can learn from our website. If you want to go into more detail and get a deeper due diligence going on, click on this orange button here or this one up here and request some more information, which will get you into what's called our virtual brochure. As you can see here, we've got this chalk packed with not just printed material, but also videos and information about a lot about the opportunity in medical billing, how we help you provide opportunities to get your clients, training, support, the technology, and then the final steps. Everything is here that you need to know about American Business Systems here in our virtual brochure. So certainly we want you to be able to go through that as well. A lot of people have asked about our rating with the Better Business Bureau, and you can see here we have maintained an A+ rating with the Fort Worth Better Business Bureau, so you can certainly go check us out there. But more importantly, besides talking to us on the telephone, we would love for you to come by and visit with us here at our office. You can see that our corporate office is in a town called Keller, and we're just north of Fort Worth. And again, we would love to have you come by and visit with us, and if you want to speak to us on a more personal level. Now, talking about our next training workshop is just literally around the corner, a week and a half away from today, August 5th through the 9th. We only have about 5 seats open left on that particular training. So if you really are thinking about getting started, now is one of those trainings that you want to get involved with and get locked in here as soon as possible. let me share with you a little bit about Patrick Phillips. Patrick is an author, as you can see here. He's written a couple of books called one, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success, which can be found on Amazon.com. And the other one is Cash Crunch to Cash Flow, in which he co-authored a book with a CPA on dealing with what doctors are going through with their cash and the struggles that they're going through. That book is more faced for you as a licensee, because you can actually utilize this in your marketing. And again, I'm sure we'll be talking about that a little bit more today on the webinar. But let me bring Patrick on the line. Patrick, I enjoy doing these with you, and it's so good to have you here this afternoon. So let's get into some of the reasons why it's appealing to get into this business here.
Yeah, a lot of people who've not been on these before, Eric, probably don't realize this, but we've been doing this for almost 20 years. Next year is our 20th year anniversary, and of course we've taught a lot of people how to duplicate the success that my wife and I had, Linda and I, back in the early, late 90s when we started doing medical billing out of our home. So I wanted to start out with this topic, because really we're addressing today the 9 reasons why medical billing is the perfect business to start in this economy. So let's just talk about what happens in a weak economy. It's very simple. It's called disruption. Everything's disrupted, right? Disruption means things change, and when things change, of course, that means there's opportunities. People take advantage of those opportunities. Entrepreneurs, like ourselves, seize those opportunities, and that's what makes them entrepreneurs. So let me give you an example of that. In 1837, Procter & Gamble started their business. You probably heard of them, the soap people, back in Cincinnati, Ohio. General Electric started in 1890 in New Jersey. Then there was the Ford Motor Company in 1903 in Michigan. Now, I'm showing you all these because all these companies have one thing in common. See if you can see what it is. Here's IBM. They started in 1911 in New York with the first all-electric writing machine. Disney Corporation started back in 1923 when he started putting together the Disneyland. And then, of course, Toll House Cookies, 1933, they began in a little home there. I forget where that's at, but anyway, I forgot to put the city there. 1935, 2 men started Hewlett-Packard. That was their name, Will Hewlett and Dave Packard, in a garage in Palo Alto, California. Then 1953, Burger King. This is one of the first Burger Kings, home of the Whopper. And, of course, you've heard of Hyatt Hotels. Believe it or not, they didn't get started until 1957. And 1958 was the first IHOP, International House of Pancakes. And then there's Microsoft with Bill Gates down there in the bottom left-hand corner. Isn't that hilarious? I love this picture. This is his gang of people.
He was too young to even grow a beard.
Yeah, really, 1975 when he started that thing. 1998 was Federal Express, and so here's the bottom line, guys. What do all these businesses have in common, Eric?
They all kind of started during a recession or a depression. A weak economy.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
when you hear about that, you think, well, because I know people hesitate to start a business, some people, in what they think of as a weak economy. I think we have what we would think of maybe really as a recovering economy. Is that a good term to use?
Yeah. I think at this point, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weak recovery, but still, the fact is, guys, it doesn't matter. If all those businesses that I just showed you can start during a recession or a depression, then you can start your own business as well. In fact, I picked up this book, this has been a year or more ago, I guess, when I first found this book, called Prepare to be a Millionaire. 43 millionaires in 7 different industries wrote chapters of this book, and one of them, as you can see here on the screen, Dan Newman is his name. He's a medical reimbursement specialist. Well, that's exactly what we teach you to be. That's what medical billers are. They help with the medical reimbursement from the insurance companies and from Medicare. And he says for the next 10 years, the medical industry is going to be the most wide open field. Every doctor, dentist, hospital, and clinic has trouble collecting money from the patients and the insurance companies. I believe over the next decade, so much money will be made in this particular industry that it will blow you away. Now, this is a guy who's already made it. Right. He's become a millionaire in this industry. So, he probably knows what he's talking about. Who knows? Millionaires don't always know what they're talking about, do they? Then there's Duncan McPherson. He's the co-founder and CEO of Pareto Systems. Look at this quote. Working for a traditional corporation has become the risky option. You would only know that if you had been pulled into a little room like I was when I worked for Apple back in the early 90s. And I was pulled into a little room, and they said, sorry, we don't have a job for you anymore. So working for yourself, he says, has become the new job security. Folks, there really isn't any security out there unless you have your own business. And you may have heard of Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and several other books. He says the number one thing people can do to increase their wealth is to start a part-time business. I thought that was interesting, Eric, that he mentioned specifically a part-time business because, let's face it, most people, if they have a job, they don't want to quit their job, and we don't think they should, right?
Right, absolutely.
And I was cash flow coming.
I was going to actually say, pertaining to that, the screen, the slide before, is that I think a lot of our licensees have been pulled into that room some way, and they understand the risk of working for a corporation nowadays. So I think a lot of our licensees that we do have currently certainly understand, and a lot of people on the call today certainly understand that.
Well, I mean, at least half, maybe more. There's a lot of layoffs. There's a lot of retired people who come through our training, but at least half of them have full-time jobs and start this business in their part-time. We have an instructor that does the training that basically started hers in half-time, so It can be done. All right, well, let's get into those 9 reasons why medical billing is the perfect business to start. Number 1, Eric mentioned, you can work from anywhere, anytime. And I mean, folks, we mean that literally. You literally can work from anywhere. Out on the beach, we've actually had licensees say that they took their laptop, worked in a little beach hut or something, right there on the beach, and continue to run their business. Why? Because, as Eric said, we have a web-based or cloud-based billing system. So anywhere you can get an internet connection, which is just about anywhere, I guess, in the world nowadays, you can work this business. Yeah. We've even had couples in the past running down the road in, some sort of what are Winnebagos, I guess, RVs,
RV.
Generic term. And as you can see on the top of this one, even there's a couple little antennas. Well, folks, nowadays you can get phone, internet, fax, whatever you need, right there as you travel in your car. And I can verify that even out on a cruise ship, you can get to their computer room. And some of them, even in the suites, have Wi-Fi connection there. So you can actually work, anywhere, anytime, anywhere in the world. That's the great thing about this. And I think that's important in this economy because a lot of people ask us, Eric, do we have to stay right where we're at, or can we move?
Exactly. I was talking with a gentleman today. Can I do billing with other places? I'm in the Illinois area. I'm in the New Jersey area. I'm in the Florida area. Can I do billing outside of my own city and state? And you can certainly do that.
Yeah, why not? It doesn't matter where you're at nowadays because, folks, the doctors don't come to see you at an office. Now, we do have licensees who've gotten to the point where they wanted to hire people, bring them into a specific place, and so they've rented a little commercial office space for, $400, $600 a month, whatever. And it's a wonderful way to run the business somewhere down the line if you want to. But, Eric, I would still guess that again, at least half of our licensees are still working out of their home. I don't think a lot of them have opened offices.
You're correct. Exactly.
Yeah. I know my wife and I, this is a picture of us back in 1987 when Linda started doing the medical billing out of our home. We worked out of our home for many, many years. When we actually started training and supporting other people and putting them into the medical billing business, of course, we opened an office, and we showed that to you earlier here on the slides. But it was a great way we had 2 children. We raised those children as we worked the business, and it was just a wonderful family business. All right, reason number 2 why we think it's perfect business to start in today's economy is because it's a growth industry. Right, Eric?
Exactly. And as you go through this portion of it here as a growing business, again, a lot of questions that we get asked, aren't doctors already doing their own billing? So how could this become a growing business? I think that's a great question to ask here.
Yeah, good point. Now, we're members of this organization you see here, this magazine called Healthcare Billing and Management Association. And, folks, it is a nationwide organization of billing companies nationwide. They have a voice in Washington, so we've joined them because we want to be a part of everything that's in this industry. And one of the recent issues of their magazine said, where is our industry headed? Well, look at this quote from that article. We estimate that the expected growth in the medical industry at just under 6% per year. Healthcare is clearly one of the best sectors in a weak economic environment. Eric, I don't know of any other industry you could say right now has that kind of growth, anywhere near that. Some of them are shrinking, you know. I guess I lost Eric.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
talking. I'm just talking, and I pressed mute there. Sorry.
That's all right. I figured that's what happened. I do that all the time, especially when I have to cough. You know, I'll mute and then cough and then put it back on mute.
Right.
Well,
right.
here's a great little chart out of that article, by the way, that shows healthcare spending as a percentage of the gross domestic product. So look at this, guys. From 1965, it was around 6%. By 2009, which was the latest figures that we had, it was almost 18%. So
Right.
it's tripled in size, folks. I don't think there is an industry you could even think about getting into that's got the growth potential of the medical industry. Maybe food. I would think that would be the only other one that's out there that's growing. And here's another way they broke it down in that article. The opportunity for revenue cycle management and technology, of course, is huge, but the slice that you as a medical biller will be dealing with is called the physician medical billing. Now, out of that, some of it is hospital-based physician medical billing, and the other half, it looks like about half of it, is the office-based physician medical billing. This is your target market in this industry. And folks, that sounds like that's a little bitty number here on the screen, but it's $4.5 billion. Let me illustrate it. There it is. Well, that's not $4.5 billion, but if you just had a little bitty slice of that stack of money, that would be a big portion. And so, folks, you don't need a whole lot of this when the pie is this big, is the point. Then there is a medical economics magazine that's out there that had a great article in it. We tapped into that to get this quote, and they were specifically writing to doctors. It said, if you and your staff don't know how to submit claims, review the EOBs or the electronic remittance advice notices, build a secondary insurance, and appeal to payment denials and prod the foot-dragging patients, then you need a billing service. Now, folks, the great news is that we have services that take care of all of those things for you. You'll be doing some of the management of the thing, of course, but we also have other services, other technology partners that will do some of that for you. So it's a wonderful testimonial from a magazine that's actually aimed at doctors, telling them, you know, you need to go out and find a billing service. Why? Because you, as an individual working from your home or small office, you can manage the doctor's cash flow better than the doctor. Why? Because the doctor and his staff should be focused on what they're good at, which is seeing patients and helping them get well. You should be focused and will be focused not for just that one doctor, but for several doctors handling their cash flow. That's what makes you a specialist in this industry. And then look at this quote from the Galen Institute. The healthcare legislation will provide more people with access to care, but the challenge is getting enough primary care doctors to meet that patient demand. Folks, there's going to be a shortage of doctors in the next 15 years. Why? Because there's a lot of doctors that are retiring early because of the Affordable Care Act. They don't know what all the changes mean. They don't want to keep up with them. They don't want to invest in technology for electronic health records, and so they're just retiring. And a lot of young people are not choosing to go in the medical field because of those very same things. Here's a chart that I found, Eric, and when I first saw it, I thought it was a joke. This is the new healthcare system as outlined by the new Affordable Care Act.
Well, this is just, it's like a spaghetti bowl. I can't even wrap my head around it. But this is where I wanted to kind of jump in here. I know you've been going through a lot of these quotes here, but this is where I want to kind of jump in here to talk about, you know, because people ask, you know, if this market is growing, but doctors are already doing their own billing, how do I get that slice of that $4.5 billion? And it's through these things here. You have to understand that the medical billing industry has become a little bit more specialized, and that's what again is making this appealing to a lot of entrepreneurs, is because they see the benefits of what they're able to do, and through our iClaim system, how they're able to do it without having to go back to school to learn all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And, of course, our licensees, through our live training, of course, get everything that they need and don't have to worry about going through any kind of specialized medical billing, coding courses, and those types of things. Okay, so the next picture here that I had was just to kind of illustrate that with the new Affordable Care Act, of course, there will be, what is the number? I don't know. I keep hearing different numbers. 47 million new Americans without insurance. And so I'm just picturing that with this huge, vast crowd that I saw here. But you know what, folks? That means the doctors will have even more trouble seeing all those patients if there will be 150,000 less doctors in the in the field. And then, of course, you've got the retirees that as you get older, you have more things go wrong with your body. You have to see the doctor more often, and the care is more intense. So with the retirees, there are 7,000 per day retiring, reaching the age of 65, that magic number, and retiring into the system. So there'll be that many more people that are seeing the doctor as well. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on the doctors. The doctors are already under a lot of pressure. And some of them, Eric, are even joining and being bought out by hospitals.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because, again, that's another question that we all get is, what about these doctors that are going to the hospitals? And all they're trying to do is figure out that they got to get paid. And so they realize that they've tried this or they've tried that, and it's just not working, so the only thing I can do is go to a hospital. But as you and I have both learned, and the rest of our team has learned, is that doctors, this is one of those underlying things that is just not talked about. But if a doctor goes and becomes a employee at a hospital and all of those patients that they had go over to the hospital as well, Patrick, do you know if they leave that hospital again, they do not get to take those patients with them that they had already? They'd have to start all over again.
I don't think some of them even realize that. I didn't realize that. That was not in my thinking at all.
You're right. And so the reason I share that today is to let people know this is one of those areas why we want to keep the doctor independent, because the more independent doctors we have, the better health care that we're really going to have here in the United States.
And we've seen a lot of doctors and licensees have fed back to us that doctors were a part of a group. They got out of the group because they didn't like the control, and it limited their income. So they got back into private practice and had to start all over again, but they would rather do that than work for them. So I think, you'll see waves of this happening throughout our history as the United States, different ways like this. But I don't think this right here is something that anybody has to be concerned with, because there's always going to be those entrepreneurial doctors out there that will do whatever it takes to make it work for them.
Absolutely.
In private practice. All right, reason number 3. There is no...
Yeah. No, go right ahead.
Well, I'm excited about this because, folks, the need for what you are going to be offering to the doctors is already established out there. There's no need for you to have to sell the doctor. Look, they know they have to do billing, and they either have to have their own staff do it and keep up with new software and all that stuff in their own office, or they've already made the decision to outsource. So, Eric, how is it that our licensees are signing up doctors every day across the United States if that's the case?
Well, again, the doctors are, I guess the best way to put it is if we think about it in some business logical terms, if the doctor is doing their billing in their office and they are doing their medical practice in their office, it just really gets down to that they're doing two different types of businesses in the same office. One, really a full medical billing company, and a medical billing practice. A medical practice. And as we both know, doctors didn't go to school to go to medical billing or to do medical billing. They went to school to do one thing, and that's their passion, and that's take care of patients and take care of people. And so having that opportunity where there's no selling needed for this is because now you're able to go in there and help relieve that to the doctor and show them through some of the tools that we teach in class. And that's how we help you get those clients there. So that's one of those best ways. Relieve the doctor from that. Let them go do what they love to do.
That's right. Well, and even some doctors have spoken out, like this Dr. Vern Sharon Wattenko. Anyway, he was interviewed by U.S. News and World Report, and he says, to get paid by the insurance companies, I have to pay about $20 in administrative fees to collect it, between the person that bills, the computer system, the ongoing support, all those things I mentioned earlier. He says it costs him about $20 per claim. Now, folks, if you think about that for a moment, it makes sense because he's got huge overhead there if he's paying his people anything at all, and, of course, providing benefits and things like that adds up even more. So it's very expensive to do it in-house.
Exactly. And I think you've got a graph coming up here showing that. And as a matter of fact, I was just talking about this particular graph here to some individuals right before the webinar today. And that is, if you just do a cost comparison, having your billing outsourced, as you can see there, pretty straight number, forward straight number there, $28,800 at 6%. When you start to look at the average in-house cost to do billing, you've got to first of all take in consideration of how many people it takes to do the billing. We know at least one person, if not a part-time of another person. And so that can easily add up to about $46,000, nearly $47,000. If you just did the comparison there, it shows. That's why Patrick was mentioning that there's not a whole lot of selling that has to go involved in this. And then you just go through all the other expenses, payroll taxes, workers' comp insurance, errors and omission insurance, training costs, leave coverage, for instance, all the way down to the hardware, software, and IT support, can all total up to about $65,000. Now, we're just not dreaming up this number. These are actual numbers that have been placed out there on, like what Patrick said, the magazine that we're a part of. We get these resources from that, and that's the average cost for a doctor to do billing in their own office. So it kind of goes back with, aren't doctors already doing billing? Why would they want to do me? If they could save 48%, I think they'll do it. I think you can show them that can be done.
Yeah, I mean, from a business standpoint, you'd think that would be a no-brainer for any doctor, especially when his people are not near as trained and specializing in the billing, like an outsourced billing company who that's all they do is just focus on that. A lot of that is also tied to the rejection rate on the claims that are being processed. That is, when an insurance company gets an insurance claim and there's something wrong with it, they can stamp it rejected and send it back electronically or in the mail. Believe it or not, some doctors are still billing on paper, and they would get it rejected. So you basically go to this quote here from the American Academy of Professional Coders, and you see why it's expensive for doctors, because industry experts have found that the average number of rejected claims for a medical practice averages around 34%. So for every 100 claims they send in, Eric, 3 of them, one-third of them, 34% are rejected.
Exactly. I mean, and that's, I don't know how many people that we know in business or even entrepreneurs could survive on that.
Right. That's money left on the table. And, of course, what most doctors do, they don't get around to resubmitting the claims. We know that. It's just a time thing. Every day there's new claims coming in. So what they do is they let them just kind of sit there, and hopefully by the end of the year they've either resubmitted some of them, or the doctor will just write it off. And I'm sure the doctor would rather have, we found doctors, haven't we, Eric, with $500,000 in bad claims that haven't been processed, just sitting there. So they'd rather have that in their bank account, I'm sure, than some sort of tax write-off. And then here's an actual case study done by one of our licensees that found that with this particular insurance claims filing for this doctor, they had about 7,200 claims a year that they were sending in. The average claim was about $125. That's $900,000. Well, look, they had not a 34%, but, Eric, a true 60% rejection rate on all their claims. Yeah, it is. And so we brought that down considerably. And this doctor is pretty happy with this licensee because they increased the doctor's revenue by $500,000 that year.
Wow.
So, folks, when we say there's a need out there, you don't have to create the need that's there. What you have to do is educate the doctors, like we teach you to do in our marketing techniques, and how to follow up with those doctors so that you're the one that they think about when they finally dawns on them that they need to be outsourcing. A single physician practice can expect an average of 69 rejected claims every single month. Folks, that's money left on the table. It's very frustrating to the office managers that are having to manage all that for the doctor inside there, because every week he or she is called into the doctor's office and asked, where are we at on the receivables?
Then we've got another market analysis that can estimate that about 24 cents out of every dollar is wasted or spent on administrative and billing expenses in and of themselves. So if you were to continue to keep doing the math here on what Patrick was saying here earlier about 69 rejected claims per month, and then you go back to 34% claims being rejected at the front part of the month, then again coupled with what's the actual cost, the cost of actually doing business. This is what we're talking about here. So you couple all of that, then you do have a very frustrated doctor, very frustrated office staff, as you can see here. They just get like, what am I going to do? And that's why, again, we do see some doctors want to turn toward, well, man, do I just go work for the hospital? That's where they just kind of get to where they're throwing their hands up in the air and going, what do I do? And that's what we're finding. And again, there's where you're able to go in there and reduce these costs. You're able to reduce those rejection rates, reduce the cost of what it takes to get this billing done, and then again, it gets very profitable again for the doctor at that point.
Now, I went back to this quote here because, Eric, what's hard for people to believe is that it's, what is that, almost a quarter out of every dollar brought into a doctor's office is spent on the administrative and billing expenses. Now, not all of that, of course, is billing, we know, but a huge portion of that is. And
right.
Since our licensees can do the billing for doctors for as little as 5% and still make a real good income, that's a huge savings for the doctor, no matter how you look at it.
Exactly.
And then, of course, there are all the codes that are involved. And, folks, this is important because our system, of course, have all the codes built in there. But we can actually help the doctor with these codes because we have a service that you'll be able to offer called Code Right, where we have certified medical coders that are on our staff ready to help you help the doctor increase their income by billing correctly. For example, here's on a super bill for a doctor. This is the day sheet, they call it, that the doctor uses, that you'll be getting from the doctor, by the way, electronically. They just circle the numbers of the codes. That's all you need to know. But in this case, the doctor is circulating a level 4 visit when it might have been a level 5, which means he's leaving money on the table. So that's because the doctor and their staff are not focused on learning and keeping up with the codes. Well, you don't have to either. Our system keeps up with those and even suggests the codes for you. But we have a major coding institute that we work with that says the average physician could increase their monthly billing by about 30% if their medical coding was done accurately. So, folks, we bring their rejection rate from the average of 34% down to less than 2%. That's what we see nationwide. And then we increase the doctor's revenue by 30% by making sure that their codes are right. This is why this is a no-brainer. And, again, that's why we said that there's no selling involved in this. Again, that service is called Code Right, and you should check that out on our website. Ask your ABS rep a little bit more about Code Right, and you'll see how that will make doctors very, very happy once they have learned that we now have somebody, you, in their community that can help with keeping those codes up to date. We have a terrific reporting system, by the way. It looks like this. Some of the reports that go to the doctor show them in graphs and charts exactly where their coding is to keep them happy. That's why, again, folks, we're back on point number 3. There's no selling here. This is all you need is the right tools.
Right. Well, and before you move on there, Angelia's got a question about the software, and she's asking about the software question. Is the software ready for ICD-10 changes, Patrick?
That's a great question. And by the way, I just happen to know that her name looks like it's Angelia, but it's Angela. That's how she pronounces it.
Well, thanks.
Because, see, Angela, I've been talking about you today with Jason. So I just want to let you know that. Anyway, here's the point. The ICD-10 is coming. It's in September, October of 2014, I believe, is when it's really fully implemented.
Correct.
Our system already has some of the codes in there. Eric, you could probably address this because you give demonstrations of the system, but if a doctor puts in a code that's an ICD-9 and it's going to be replaced by some ICD-10s, the system actually suggests that right now, doesn't it?
That's correct. Yes, and matter of fact, those ICD-10 codes are ready to go, and so we're way ahead of the game whenever it comes to that portion of it. So, great question, Angela.
Yep, you bet. All right, number 4, the technology available with iClaim, that's our cloud-based billing system, is perfect for a home-based business. Now, we kind of touched on this earlier, but I wanted to kind of go into a little bit more detail on this, folks. There is software out there still being sold to doctors' offices and to billing services that comes in a box. That means it's on a CD that you literally take out of the box and put in your computer and install the software on your hard disk. There's lots of this type of software out there, folks, and that's very dangerous from a HIPAA patient privacy standpoint. The data could be stolen, the computer could be sold on the open market, and all that data is out there for the world to see. So the future, and we just happen to have been in the future now for about 7 years now, is cloud-based technology, meaning it's not stored on your local computer. You can go to a computer on a cruise ship or at the library and log in. Any computer in the world can access our system because it just runs out there in what's called the cloud. So you go to a particular website address, you have a login and a password, of course, and boom, you're there and you're actually doing the medical billing long distance. These are a couple of screenshots just to show you folks that it's very user-friendly. It's designed specifically for the iPad, which doctors love, by the way. You can see the big buttons that you see here. That's because on the iPad, those buttons are very easy to touch, even with an adult finger. And the doctors, that's the future. The doctors love the iPad. They can also access anything on our system on any smartphone as well. Androids as well as the iPhone, of course. Anything that's out there, folks, we are way ahead of the technology. That means, again, you can be confident that you can run this business from anywhere at any time and have access to your data as well as the doctor give them access to.
Well, again, this what Patrick is showing here is certainly one of those elements that makes this type of business, and I love what you said in the past, Patrick. This is a clean type of a business. You've talked about that in the past. People don't have to maintain servers. They don't have to maintain hardly anything. And this is one of those areas where it really makes it appealing to do this type of business.
Yeah, I think everybody recognizes that software is all going to the cloud out there. Google's doing it, Yahoo's doing it, Apple's doing it, even Microsoft is doing it now with Microsoft Office. So it is the future, and it's very secure, by the way. We have redundant servers that everything's backed up on nightly. Folks, believe me, this data is very, very safe, and it's in multiple locations in the United States on different servers in different electrical grids because of that. So very good technology. All right. Well, let's move along here. Man, it's almost 3:40.
Yeah.
Okay, 5. Reason number 5 that this is a perfect business, guys, is because there's no special training or education necessary. You don't have to go to your local college and take a year's course in medical coding or medical billing. Folks, everything you need to learn, we teach you in our week-long class down here held in a hotel here in Dallas. Everything, folks. Now, we've had most people that come through our training don't have any connection to the medical industry whatsoever. So they take what we give them in this 1 week, and boom, they hit the ground running. If you listen to some of the webinars and interviews that we do with these licensees, you'll see that every one of these people, in fact, everybody in this picture right here, Eric, none of them had any kind of background at all in the medical field. I'm looking at them to make sure that that's true still because I updated these pictures. No, I don't see one of them. All of these from diverse backgrounds.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of this, again, this type of business. And once you go through the training, the way I like to look at this, Patrick, is our training is not to teach you how to walk out of there and file a claim. Our training is specifically to help you become a medical reimbursement specialist, really a consultant in the medical billing field. Yeah. And then you as a owner of it, instead of you just being a student and now an employee of a medical billing company, you are the medical billing company.
That's right. And you keep the profits except for what you might pay your brother-in-law to do some of the data entry. Give him $5 an hour or whatever. Okay, so not only do you not have to have training up front, folks, because of our week-long training, which is pretty intense but covers a lot of information, but we have ongoing educational webinars that we present using the same technology that you see here today with our licensees. So once you become a licensee, you start attending a different set of webinars that are conducted by my staff, by Eric, and of course by many of our licensees that actually create these webinars and present them to other licensees. So it's just an ongoing, and that's all a part of our licensing fee. There's no extra cost for that. You and all your staff can attend as many of those webinars as you want ongoing. All right, let's move on to reason number six. You can make more money than on a regular job.
Absolutely. So let's see that how much money that as you've got here. What are doctors making? This is a great. I love this graph here.
Yeah, general pediatrician, $97,000 a year. Family physician doctor is $164,000. Internal medicine doctor, $175,000. Now, folks, that sounds like a lot of money, and it is, no doubt about it. But for the training and the money that the doctor put into learning how to be a doctor and open his practice, that's not a whole lot of money. We have licensees making more than any figure that you see here, folks. And the reason I show this chart is because I want you to be aware that we are very serious about teaching you how to make money. That's what this business is all about. So on our website that you can go to here, absystems.com, there's a link up here about the income potential. Just use the medical billing income calculator. It will let you drop in the numbers here in these fields, and you change those any way you want to. In this particular case, this is one doctor as a client, 20 patients a day, 5 days a week. And in this case, we are showing that you're charging 6% of an average claim amount of $100. That's pretty easy math. You hit the submit button, and look at this, folks. That's $31,200 each year. You can see it right here. $31,000 or a monthly revenue of about $2,600. Now, for a lot of people, that is a replacement of their current job's income, isn't it, Eric?
Absolutely.
And for many people, they're not near happy with that until they get about 10 times that. So it all depends on where you want to take the business, folks. But that is an annual revenue of $31,000. That's why we tell people this is for just one doctor. So do the math on that. The average person, Eric, what would you estimate the average person never hiring their brother-in-law could do as far as handling the billing on their own? How many doctors could they have?
They could easily handle roughly, I'd say, anywhere from 4 to 5. It could be up to as high as 6 doctors, depending if they've got them on the EMR. But anywhere 4 to 5, very comfortably.
Yeah, it depends on their volume and so forth. So go out to that calculator, folks, punch in your own numbers and see what you come up with. Now, remember, that's just on the medical billing. Remember, as an ABS licensee, we teach you to be a medical revenue specialist. That means that you're going to be offering other solutions to other places in the doctor's practice that have leaks, that need plugging up. And so these other services, if you add all of these things together, folks, easily with one doctor, if he had each one of these services, you could be making a 6-figure income. So do the math on it. Ask your ABS rep a little bit more about that. I know we go through a lot of this stuff very quickly here in these webinars to try to get a lot in. For example, I want to squeeze in this one more chart here. If you are wanting to go to work in a doctor's office to do medical billing, as you can see, a medical billing specialist, if they have less than 1 year's experience, you would make anywhere from $19,000 to $40,000, depending on the part of the country that you're in. So if you're happy making that kind of money, even after, 5 to 10 years here, you could still be making only $26,000 or maybe $55,000. But by that time, folks, how many doctors could you be doing the billing for if you had your own business? That's the real question.
And number 8 here is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I love about this, and I think we've had a lot of licensees that have come through here and go, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. If you've already got something played out, let's go with it. So, again, I think what we've got available for you as a licensee to come in here, let's start looking at some of the marketing pieces. As you start to see here, the marketing pieces that we already have built, and these are not just little bitty flimsy presentations folders. This is one of the presentations folders that is used by our licensees. These are heavy cardboard. They're very well done for you to use. Everything's branded for you, as you can see here, placed on that presentation folder for you to put your business card. If you look at, if we go to the next slide there, we can see all of the different flyers that are available on each of those services that Patrick was talking about earlier, the audit guard, the quick collect, and all of that information is already there. So, you know, let alone the postcards that we have that go along with this. So with all of this said, and with what you would need to do, it would take you at least a good chunk of your time, let alone the money and the printing and the graphic artwork just to get to there. This is one of those areas, again, where it makes it appealing to be a part of this type of a business with American Business Systems because of what we have to offer. Plus, I don't know, Patrick, what do you think it costs to put together a trade show booth? What do you think the average trade show booth is?
It cost $42,460. That's what we paid for this one. It's a nice one.
Yeah, so you can see here that part of what you can get here is having the access to utilize our trade show booth without you, again, having to spend any money or time or effort designing and getting it done and all of that. And I think, Patrick, this stays out, booked out quite a bit. And
yes,
so,
in fact, we have two of them now because we wanted to keep them rotating out there. Also, notice that it's very generic. There's no mention of American Business Systems anywhere, not only on this, but it's not on our postcards. It's not on any of our printed brochures. In fact, there's a place left here so that you can actually have your name and logo printed right on these. We have a printing company that does that for our licensees. So, very generic stuff, guys, because you establish your own business. You come up with your own company name and your own logo. We'll show you how to do all that during the live training workshop if you haven't done that already. And then, of course, in today's world, you got to have a website, don't you, Eric?
Yes, you do. You have to have a website, and we have several templates and several ways you can move around colors and graphics around here. But what's more important, I think, for any entrepreneur that's ever done anything with their website, I think anybody can choose colors. I think anybody can choose graphics. It's what you have to say. That's already been done, and that's going to be one of the biggest helps for you here. Again, not having to reinvent the wheel. We can't stress that enough. And then earlier I spoke about the book that Patrick wrote on Cash Crunch to Cash Flow. This is written in a fashion where it's as a third party. Again, there's nothing in here that mentions as American Business Systems. Our logo's not in there. Nothing's in there. This is for you as a licensee to use, to share with the doctors. And even in class, we kind of go through that and say, you know, recognize this page, or look, here's a great quote that you can recognize and give to the doctors here. But again, I don't know, Patrick, I don't know if we've actually put a pen and pencil to this and see what, if you were just to put all the marketing pieces together and someone had to start from scratch to get to this level, that can be a pretty good chunk of time and change there.
Yeah, it would definitely be a whole lot more than $25,000, and I think that's what people recognize is, why should I, you know, reinvent the wheel from scratch when it's all been done? And it's been done generically, again, so that I can brand it with my name and logo, like on the back of the DVD here. We have a special DVD, folks, that we spent over $30,000 producing this. Eric and I traveled to actually film doctors who are clients of some of our licensees, and they gave us testimonials on this DVD that sell the service for you to a doctor. So you hand this to a doctor, it costs you about $3, our cost to duplicate the DVDs, with your name printed on the back. You hand that to a doctor, and there's your testimonial. So if you're wondering, how do you get credibility right up front when you're talking to doctors, since you don't have any clients to begin with, this is the way we do that. We also have all the documents that you would ever want out on what we call our licensee support site. So contracts, charts, reports, even PowerPoint presentations. These are all things, folks, that we created and spent thousands of dollars creating, and, of course, having reviewed by our legal counsel as well. We also have an online greeting card system that you'll use to build your business and the doctor's practice as well. It's an online system, but it creates and prints and mails in the U.S. Mail Postal Service a physical greeting card personalized with the message from the doctor that you put inside the card. Wonderful way to do it. And if you don't like any of the methods that we've just talked about or any of the tools, you can actually, we have a whole section on how to hire and train sales reps that work on a pure straight commission to go out and get the business for you. That's about the easiest way that I know of to get business, Eric. Isn't it for you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to use sales reps, we certainly have a whole training module on how to do that. And again, even with the contracts to sign those sales reps up. And plus, Patrick, I don't know, here we're talking about all the different marketing techniques and flyers and presentation folders, but what about support? Folks, when you start any new business, you do definitely need some support. And part of what you get here at American Business System is a lifetime of support. So we've got people here to help you. You can certainly pick up the phone, look at our licensee support site. As Patrick mentioned earlier, you can see up at the right-hand corner, there is a live chat. I mean, certainly this is a snapshot of that. But there is a live chat there, the 800 number, the email support, and then there's a forum specifically for our licensees to talk back and forth, to get questions answered. So, again, putting all of that together, and, one other thing that we didn't add in there, but we could add in there with that support is an ongoing way that we can help do the demos for you, for your doctors. For you to learn the system as quickly as like next week, if you needed to show the system to the doctor, you're just not going to be there. And so, again, that wrapped up into what Patrick was saying. Don't go out there and try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, we have a whole other webinar specifically on that topic of how do we help you, get doctors to sign up, and that's specifically on that whole section that he just mentioned about doing one-on-one go-to meeting connections with you and the doctor, prospective doctor, and telling them the advantages of. So we do all the selling for you, and we show them the system to get them excited about what technology you'll be using to solve their cash flow problems too. All right, Eric, let's try one more here. And are there any other questions popping up? I hadn't even looked over there on the board.
Yeah, there's actually from Latanya. It looks like she's asking something. Let's talk about the services. Let's don't move too quickly off there. But can we offer services to patients as well as the doctors? And I think why don't you talk to her about the choice pay that can be a service to the patients?
Yes, Latanya, that's one of the services that we had up on the screen a while ago, one of those 7 flyers that you saw there in addition to the medical billing, and it's called Choice Pay, which is a way for the doctor to offer to his patients a simpler way to pay their bill. Doctors don't collect but about half of all the money that's billed to patients, and you can offer to the patients, through the doctor of course, this service called Choice Pay that allows them to automatically have their payments towards their medical bill taken out of their checking account or credit card each month. So that's a wonderful way to increase the doctor. We've increased doctors' revenue multiple times by just instituting that one service in there.
All right. Well, let's go out with this last one here. You have no downside as in other businesses. What do you mean by that, Patrick?
Well, first of all, there's no huge upfront investment. I mean, people might think our $25,000 fee is a lot of money, but folks, compared to franchise fees out there, it's nothing. I don't know of any franchise you can get for $25,000. Commercial property, you don't have to have anything. Like we said, you work out of your home. Equipment and inventory. Now, you do have to have a computer. That would be nice to have a cell phone, but most people have those things already. And so, folks, you're in business if you have just the basics. Maybe a printer, maybe a scanner, those kinds of things would be additional things that you might need down the line somewhere. But there's no inventory of anything. This is a digital business, completely digital. And then, of course, no storing of the inventory, no management of the inventory, no capital tied up in that inventory. That's a huge advantage that this business has. Employees. Eric, I don't know of many licensees that actually hire people as employees. Do you?
No, most of them are a 1099, or I think what we heard from Wendy that she's using a service called Odesk. So yeah, there is no reason why you should have employees where you're having to have deal with payroll and taxes and benefits and just the daily stresses of having employees.
Yeah, 1099 is usually referred to as an independent contractor, and you're filing one form, the 1099 form with the IRS at the end of the year that says, here's how much I paid you. And they just go do with it whatever they need to do. Travel, there's no travel in this business, folks, unless you just want to, because you don't have to do anything about even a licensees that get doctors in other states. Eric, we have a lot of licensees that tell us they get a referral from a doctor in the state they're in to another doctor in another state. They don't have to go travel. We can do everything electronically, folks. We have this worked out to where everything can be done with technology over the Internet. A lot of businesses out there, folks, I think of it as passing fads. You know what I'm saying? The low-carb stores, the VHS tape and DVD rentals are going away, yogurt stores. All of those things are what I think of. They come and go. Folks, the medical business does not have that downside. As long as there's people, as long as they get sick, as long as there's doctors, insurance companies, we'll always have this business. There's no unreliable or uneven income in this. Eric, I think this is what appeals to most people, don't you?
I think so too. It can be once you've got that one doctor there, and then you add the next one. You know, it's pretty steady income as you go through. Because again, the only way those doctors are making money is when they're seeing patients. So as long as your doctor is seeing patients, you're making money.
You bet. A lot of businesses, there's no chance to walk away. You can't figure out when to get off for vacations or sickness. Guys, there's so many advantages to this. I just was thinking about the other day, all the downsides to most other businesses, this one has nothing. This is not dull or hard work. If you think it is, you probably ought to be looking at something else, or think about hiring your brother-in-law. Let him do all the hard part of it. There's no opportunity in most businesses to work with professionals. You'll be working with the professionals in your community, the medical field. Franchises, you lose control. There are perception problems if something comes up, like dog meat in the Taco Bell hamburgers. Ongoing royalties. Hey, the franchises get a percentage of your gross revenues every month, folks. We don't have that at all. It's called a licensing situation, and there's a one-time licensing fee, and you don't have to pay us anything on the back end. Huge risk in most businesses. Most businesses fail in the first year. Even franchises go out of business. We've got licensees that have been with us for years and years, and you'll hear some interviews with some of them, of course, on the webinars. Okay, we made it to the 9 reasons, Eric, and we're pretty close to the top of the hour here, so why don't you tell them about that workshop?
Absolutely. We've got this training workshop that's coming up here, again, about a week and a half away. And that actually a week from this Monday will be that time, August 5th through the 9th. There's about 5 seats available. Please give us a call here at 866-565-8413. Very interesting, Patrick. You know that we do these every 6 weeks, and once we get through this one here, August the 5th through the 9th, there's only going to be 3 more trainings for the rest of the year. So if you're looking to get started in this business for this year, going into 2014, you want to get involved in one of these classes as quickly as possible because they do fill up. And I promise you, come the ones here towards the end of the year, the last 3 that we will have, it will be
packed.
A lot of people in those classes.
Yeah. Always is, yeah.
But part of your due diligence, certainly you're talking with us over the telephone and seeing us over the internet and webinars, but Patrick loves to talk about his 100% money-back guarantee as part of your due diligence. So, Patrick, why don't you talk about, the reasons why and the whole thing about the money-back guarantee here?
Several years back, folks, we struggled. How do we convey to people that this is real with all of the scams that are out there on the internet nowadays and the what I call the passing fad businesses coming and going and the get-rich-quick stuff? How do you know that this is for real? Well, there's only one way, and as Eric hinted there, this really is part of your due diligence to come down to our live training workshop. Now, we can't let you come down here and then at the end say, okay, I think it's good, I'm going to go ahead and pay you because, well, to be honest with you, some people would say they have the money and they don't really have it. So the only way we know that you have the money is for you to invest it. But that's put into a trust fund held by my attorney until the end of the week because we want you to see everything that we have to offer. every marketing idea, every proprietary information that we've got on all of our services, and then make that final decision that, yes, this is exactly what I thought it was. And as you'll hear from some of the testimonial videos on our blog, you will hear people say, this is way more than I thought it was. So I started offering this guarantee, and it's pretty simple. Just like it says here in your agreement, it says, if at the end of the training workshop for any reason you don't think this business is right for you, simply tell any staff member, and they'll arrange for you to receive a full refund of your license fee. So I don't know how to be more fair than that. I don't know if anybody. I'm probably crazy for offering that, huh?
Crazy Patrick, that's it. All right, so I was going to say, put that last slide up there again for us. Again, August the 5th through the 9th. Certainly want to be able to talk with you. So if you have any other questions,